waste while he was inactive at anchor or on shore. The shore, to him, was an inferior element, merely serving as a useful annex to the water, a source of necessary supplies. "Let's have lunch," he pursued, as we resumed our way down the fjord. A vision of iced drinks, tempting salads, white napery, and an attentive steward mocked me with past recollections. "You'll find a tongue," said the voice of doom, "in the starboard sofa locker, beer under the floor in the bilge. I'll see her round that boy, if you wouldn't mind beginning." I obeyed with a bad grace, but the close air and cramped posture must have benumbed my faculties, for I opened the portside locker, reached down, and grasped a sticky body which turned out to be a pot of varnish. Recoiling wretchedly, I tried the opposite one, combating the embarrassing heel of the boat and the obstructive edges of the centreboard case. A medley of damp tins of varied sizes showed in the gloom, exuding a mouldy odour. Faded legends on dissolving paper, like the remnants of old posters on a disused hoarding, spoke of soups, curries, beefs, potted meats and other hidden delicacies. I picked out a tongue, re-imprisoned the odour, and explored for beer. It was true, I supposed, that bilge didn't hurt it, as I tugged at the plank on my hands and knees, but I should have myself preferred a more accessible and less humid wine cellar than the cavities among slimy ballast from which I dug the bottles. I regarded my hard-won and ill-favoured pledges of a meal with giddiness and discouragement. "How are you getting on?" shouted Davies. "The tin opener's hanging up on the bulkhead. The plates and knives are in the cupboard." I doggedly pursued my functions. The plates and knives met me halfway, for being on the weather side, and thus having a downward slant, its contents, when I slipped the hatch, slid affectionately into my bosom, and overflowed with a clatter and jingle onto the floor. "That often happens," I heard from above. "Never mind. There are no breakables. I'm coming down to help." And down he came, leaving the Dulcibella to her own devices. "I think I'll go on deck," I said. "Why in the world couldn't you lunch comfortably at Ekken, and save this infernal pandemonium of a picnic? Where's the yacht going to meanwhile? And how are we to lunch on that slanting table? I'm covered with varnish and mud, and ankle-deep in crockery. There goes the beer." "You shouldn't have stood it on the table with this list on," said Davies, with intense composure. "But it won't do any harm. It'll drain into the bilge." Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, I thought. "You go on deck now, and I'll finish getting ready." I regretted my explosion, though wrung from me under great provocation. "Keep her straight on as she's going," said Davies, as I clambered up out of the chaos, brushing the dust off my trousers and varnishing the ladder with my hands. I unlashed the helm and kept her as she was going. We had rounded a sharp bend in the fjord, and were sailing up a broad and straight reach, which every moment disclosed new beauties, sights fair enough to be balm to the angriest spirit. A red-roofed hamlet was on our left, on the right an ivied ruin, close to the water, where some contemplative cattle stood knee-deep. The view ahead was a white strand which fringed both shores, and to it fell wooded slopes, interrupted here and there by low sandstone cliffs of warm red colouring, and now and again by a dingle with cracks of greensward. I forgot petty squalors and enjoyed things, the coy tremble of the tiller and the backwash of air from the dingy mainsail, and with a somewhat chastened rapture the lunch which Davies brought up to me and solicitously watched me eat. Later, as the wind sank to lazy airs, he became busy with the larger topsail and jib, but I was content to doze away the afternoon, drenching brain and body in the sweet and novel foreign atmosphere, and dreamily watching the fringe of glen cliff and cool white sand as they passed ever more slowly by. End of chapter 3. read by Gesine in May 2007.